Hi, welcome to the Divine Insight Show, and thank you so much for joining us wherever and whenever you're doing so. I am so thrilled to introduce you to this week's guest, Master Mingtong Gu, who has dedicated his life to advancing the practice of wisdom healing Qigong after discovering it, and he's established a place to teach it in English-speaking communities around the world. Hence, the Qi Center, just outside of Santa Fe, New Mexico, was founded to bring wisdom healing Qigong to thousands of people in the United States, China, and Europe through retreats, workshops, and your own books and online educational programs. I'm so thrilled to share your work and talk with you today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Travis. I'm so happy to be with you, with all the listeners to share.
You know, your story is so remarkable, and we could do a whole show simply on learning about your incredible experiences. But what I'd love for our audience to learn is what inspired you to get involved in the healing arts in the first place and to become a wisdom healing Qigong master?
Yeah, when I'm reflecting on my life, it's like so many great thing happen, impactful thing happen, but usually happen as an accident.
You know, it's funny we say that, we call them sort of happy accidents, but in some ways it's sort of like divine intervention in ways, right? I mean, the synchronicities start showing up that like give us those aha moments.
Right. So what are we learning here is to show up in this moment, in this surprise. And, I'm still learning to fully show up and really willing to embracing not just the moment, embracing the change, embracing the opportunity. I think that's what we're in right now. Again, we're going to talk about this. But in my personal life, actually, I didn't discover Qigong until 15 years of living in the US after I came from China in 1985. So I was in graduate school from mathematics to fine arts. Then I discovered Qigong when I was in Ohio State. So saying, wow, that is really profound. So I connected with it more from intellectual level in the beginning. And I was always, asking these big questions, what is the meaning of life? What can I find? How can I find true happiness? And so on. And somehow this teaching really kind of opened the doorway for me. And eventually it took me quite a while and discovering the happiness is within me. So not just saying it, just discovering the experience, new way of living life. So on this process, and I was discovering the surprise benefit, including healing of my physical illness, of sclerosis and asthma condition. So, but from beginning, I was connected with more intellectually, spiritually, really intuitively feel it's important. Speaking of divine insight, that's like the intuition. Something you feel, this is right, this is important. That's something I need to really discover more, dedicate more. So in a short time, I became very dedicated, then eventually went back to China to study more with the founder of this form of Qigong, and Dr. Peng Ming, Grandmaster Peng Ming. Then eventually studied with him for almost 2 years, finishing the master training program, then came back to US to teach full-time last 20 years. That's my short story.
Well, I think you highlight one specific thing that I talk about a lot, and it's really about finding your soul song, which is that which inspires you. Some call it intuition, divine intervention, synchronicities, whatever we want to call it. There's that thing or those series of things that really bring us life and vibrancy, and that's why I was excited to hear how that started for you. And can you describe a little bit about what Qi is and what Qigong is?
Right. Yeah, on one hand, Qigong is like so ancient, has a long history. You can trace back to 5,000 years in China, like Yellow Emperor time. But on the other hand, has been remained secretive, even to mainstream in China until 40, 50 years ago. So I didn't grow up knowing Qigong when I was in China. So, but in the West, on one hand, now all the information is available, but still remain secret to mainstream. And so I often say it's best to keep a secret.
Well, it's interesting. I'm curious, why do you think it's a secret? I mean, I hate to go into like conspiracy theories, but I think about religion and I think about this idea that a lot of organized religions tell you what a specific path to God is, and that you have to follow our tenets in order to achieve enlightenment or to achieve a personal relationship with God, when we all know that we all have our own individual relationship with spirituality that goes beyond or can go beyond a formalized religion. And this idea that it's been a secret. I'm curious around that. Do you know why that is?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think one of the reasons is this kind of wisdom practice is about self-realization, self-actualization. The original idea is searching for immortality. Then as a result, is discovering the secret to longevity. Then, in the contemporary time, more people facing the challenge of health and even health crisis now. So then realizing, the secret to longevity is same. It applies to, healing, applies to health in general. So that is kind of overall benefit in the practical level as well in the spiritual level. But the main reason has been remain secretive. I think one is takes responsibility. Not everybody is ready for that. And on the other hand, it's so simple. But in general speaking, in human history, until lately, human concern is more about survival. It's more about survival, and this is about extending your life. It's about secret to cultivating full potential. So it's not everybody's ready for that.
Yeah. And so going back, I think I distracted us from the question that I was asking you about what qi actually is. I apologize for that.
No problem. It's like so. That's another reason has been remained secretive, because qi on one hand, everything is made of qi. Qi is energy, it's life energy. So not only the physical body, physical existence of life is made of energy. Now we know from a quantum physics point of view, the physical, if you're analyzing the physical, particle, subparticle, then go deeper, discovering the vibrational energy is not solid anymore. So that knowledge somehow was available even from the ancient time to feel people, realize people. But also, qi means the invisible energy existing in space, existing in the invisible dimension, beyond just visible. So that means, on one hand, everything is made of energy. But on the other hand, there's the invisible energy. That means it's invisible, beyond what you can see, beyond what you can touch, beyond even the science can validate. Besides quantum physics, quantum physics now can validate a lot more mysterious spiritual existence. But the Newton physics, the measurable way of perceiving life, is difficult to measure. Because of that, I think it remains secretive, because it's so infallible, it's so intangible. You know what I mean? So it's only people who have really open-minded and willing to discover what is beyond the physical, able to experience it, but also able to commit to this process, because it's a cultivation. And that is what Gong means. Qi means energy, Gong means practice. Cultivation also means the benefit by working with energy directly. So that's the meaning of Qigong. But on one hand, it's like It's simple. Means recognizing your body made of energy, your mind, your heart is all expression of energy. You have a capacity directly working with the energy, recognizing when the energy is contracted, then the function of your existence, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, is limited. But when the same energy is open, then your function come back to more optimal condition, function, so your health improve. Even, healing of chronic or incurable condition become possible. Your mental creativity awakening to another levels. So recognizing you have the power to make a deeper change within you, but not everybody is ready for that. So because the normal condition, I think slow human history continue to modern days, even now in some ways worse, because we're all kind of, on one hand, blaming whatever challenge we're experiencing, we're blaming someone else, blaming something else. We don't want to take responsibility.
Well, it's a really good point. I think, and just as you described the Gong aspect of Qigong, it sounds like, it's the discipline, it's the intent, it's the practice of it, which we become, more understanding of over time. And yet, it's sort of like from one of the sayings from AA, that I was in for a while. It's like, keep it simple, stupid. We tend to complicate things in our lives so much. But I read that during your training that you observed thousands of cases of chronic or incurable diseases being healed, at a medicine-less Qigong hospital, which treated over 200,000 patients with more than 185 different illnesses, with a 95% effective improvement rate. That's amazing. Can you share a bit more about that?
Yeah, first of all, let me clarify what that means. So in the medicine Qigong hospital in China, people come to the Qigong practice mainly, after tried everything already, mainly diagnosed as incurable, chronic condition. Because again, as I said, most people just want to have a, quick fix, shortcut.
Right.
Away the pain, and if this acute condition can be treated by the conventional medicine, let's say, that's good, but the chronic condition is beyond the allopathic medicine can handle. So over the time, people try everything already, and then realizing, oh, that's incurable. I can only managing the symptom, but at the time is really threatening life or threatening jobs, threatening life quality. So deep down, and some people searching for something really new, something really effective. So they come to Qigong as a last resort, basically, last resort. So because my teacher, who is a doctor in both Western medicine as well Chinese medicine, so he took a very scientific approach, asking people to have a conventional test in the hospital before they enroll in the month-long program in the Qigong hospital, then do another test after finishing the program. If according to conventional test, if there is a change, improvement, then say it's effective. So that is 95% effective. Then if the symptom, even internal test of the old condition is not there anymore, completely gone, that means cured. Then, so that is how he measures things. Because he's a doctor, he wants to not only see evidence-based result, but also he wants to continuously improve. This technique has a long history. So that's how he approaching this process. Then often people asking the question, with all kind of different kind of diagnosis, how could it be possible using one method, one Qigong practice can affect in all kind of condition? According to Western medicine, if the diagnosis is different, then you're using different medicine. Then you
Right.
right? So, but the energetic perception methodology is very different. As I said, when the energy is contracted, then the function is limited. Then including the physical illness, even emotional issues, mental issue, start to happen. And even the symptom may changes, the diagnosis may changes, but the ultimate issue is energetic contraction. And the energetic contraction can be in your brain, can be in your heart, can be your 5-organ system, can be in your nerve system, can be your energy system in general, can change from one day to next day. But if you connecting with your body, then you discover, oh, I'm feeling the contraction here, this part of my body. Oh, I can using the movement to opening the energy. Oh, you're realizing this movement can open the energy in any part of the body because you covering the entire body. Then similarly, using the sound, using the vibration, go to the 5-organ system. So it doesn't matter where the contraction is, and doesn't matter what happened in the past. You can using these practice to continuously opening the energy. So by doing that, you're releasing the tension, releasing the stress, which is the main cause for all illness, especially chronic or incurable condition. And the stress is happening accumulatively over the time. But using the practice, you can release the stress. Using the practice, you can open in the energy flow again. So then the function just naturally improve. And again, I need to be very transparent, honestly say that takes time. It's not a quick fix, it's not a shortcut. You have to take a responsibility. But when you practice long enough, then the changes start to happen. So that's one of the reasons the program happened in China is one long program. You practice 8 hours, 10 hours a day for 1 month at a time. Then another secret is, when a secret, that means most people don't know. That we all want the result without knowing the process, then thinking, how could it be possible? Everybody tried everything already, over the years, over the decades, the incurable, chronic, how could a Qigong can work? But if you understand the process, then realizing, oh, that's how that works.
Yeah, and I think it puts the classic understanding of symptom pill, symptom surgery, symptom, we just have this urgent, and of course we don't want to do the work. If we want something, if something can take care of it easily and doesn't harm us, why not? But then, as you talk about, it doesn't help the underlying metabolic, systemic issues. And right now, we're in pretty unprecedented times. Our entire world is faced with COVID, and we've had other major events in the globe, but not usually at one time for the entire globe, where it's creating a whole new way that we are interacting with each other, learning about ourselves, somewhat forced introspection by having stay-at-home orders and everything else. How does a wisdom healing Qigong enhance emotional well-being, or dealing with challenges that we are currently facing, fear, anxiety, trauma, isolation, things like that?
Yeah, that is so true, Travis. Right now, obviously, we're facing challenging all levels, including health class, crisis. But the most powerful challenge we're facing, as you mentioned, pointing out, is in general was stress, and especially emotional stress, especially anxiety and fear. And that is I say most challenging. Actually, is more contagious than the virus. Actually, it's affecting everybody's well-being, not only physical health, emotional health, but in general, the way we're living life. If we're living in the fear, in the anxiety, in depression, in disconnection, imagine the outcome. It's not the outcome experience we're having right now, but months later, years later, in terms of general patterns. So I want to really, at least my knowledge is on one hand, this fear, this emotional stress is activated under, whatever the reason, all these realistic reason, justified reason, we're experiencing all these emotional fear. But on the other hand, recognizing the emotional pattern of fear, anxiety, this pattern of fight, flight, it's not just happen overnight, not just because of pandemic. It's a human pattern from history. It's always there. And that pattern, on one hand, is, in a sense, is protecting us in the ancient time when living in the nature, facing a tiger, the fear protect you. You gain all the forces, your whole body contract, fighting or running away, this is necessary for survival. But if you carry this contract patterns, for continuously, then not only your health deplete, your life force deplete, but also the way you're living life become unhealthy, become, extraordinarily, what's the way, really if you go deeper analyzing all the issue we're facing in humanity, I can confidently say it's all caused by fear.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, there's some scientific evidence showing that some level of, there is such a thing called good stress that right. is, it's performance enhancing, it's motivating, but that's a fine line because so many people go way beyond that, running their entire day in manic and as you're saying, when you are activated in fight or flight and the adrenaline is pumping, but you're not, fighting off a tiger, you're not running away from danger, you're sitting at a desk, it's actually creating poison and you're right. So it's harming you. So that's why I think it was so fascinating to learn more about the wisdom healing Qigong that you do. So how is, well, let me ask you this. Do you consider Qigong or wisdom Qigong to be a spiritual practice in any way?
Yeah, before I answer that question, I want to go back. It's really important, how to address the fear and addressing the anxiety. It's like, especially just giving an example right now, if we go out for any practical need reason, yes, it's safe to be in social distance. You need to be there, but doesn't mean you have to be fearful. You don't have to be anxious. You don't have to contract. So, but that is a normal pattern, unfortunately. But the worst than that is most people are not aware the body is carrying the contracted energy pattern. Then the mind is continuously acting, then over the time, what happened, this contract pattern become chronic. So when we fearful, our energy contract for 5 seconds, 5 minutes, that's okay. But the real issue, if you carry on this contract pattern, 5 days, 5 months, 5 decades, then your whole, life is running under this, this fearful patterns. So that's the issue we want to be aware, want to work with. So in Wisdom Healing Qigong, what we do is first step is you become more aware of your body, carry the contraction as I mentioned. You're using the proactive process of movement, sound, meditation to open in the energy again. And before you're reacting to whatever challenging circumstances, before you're trying to, changing the circumstance which beyond your capacity to change. Yeah, you cannot even run away from it, neither. We're in it together. Right now we're saying we're in it together. That means you cannot run away from it anymore. So it's not a tiger. It's an invisible tiger. So, but the stress The emotion of fear is real. So how do you handle that inside of you? First step is you have to be aware your body is carrying energetic contraction. Then the next step is using this practice to work with it, to opening the energy. So the methodology again is so simple. You do the movement, release the tension, releasing the stress. You do the sound, allow you to go deeper into the 5 organ system, associating with the emotion. So when the energy, your heart contract, then you're experiencing unhappiness. Or lack of happiness. When the energy of the heart open, then happiness come back, and loving kindness come back. You start feel a sense of compassion for yourself, for others. And similarly, when the energy of your kidney system contract, then you're experiencing fear, experiencing fight, flight. When you're opening that same energy again, then you're experiencing the power come back, creativity come back. So this sound allow you to tap into the subconsciousness energy pattern inside of you, changing from contraction to openness. Then you can respond into life from a new place, deeply more centered, more empowered, but you're transforming these old patterns, especially the fearful pattern. Then you respond into life with less fear, with more consciousness, with more wisdom, and deeply with more feeling of love and compassion. And that's how the change can happen. So you cannot push the fear away. You cannot, justify the fear neither. You cannot just, sinking out of the fear neither. It's like fear is so real, but often we say, the issue is in your tissue. It's in your body. You have to get into the unconscious realm, subconscious realm, beyond just the mental story. So that's one way Qigong focuses on, allow you to change these patterns. Change these patterns.
Thank you. I think, I see that it sounds like almost a hashtag, issue in your tissue. If you get down to and I think that's so important too to think about, because, a lot of times, the movement around self-help and self-analysis and self-awareness related a lot kind of recently in an intellectual exercise of our thoughts. And so much of what goes on in our bodies is beyond just what we think, because it's deeper. It's what we believe and what we feel. And so I think that's where a lot of people can get frustrated when they're trying to help themselves, because they just focus on the better feeling thought, or trying to focus on the intellectual exercise. Yeah. So I was going to ask you as well, because as we talked before the show, those who've watched the show or listened to the show know that I practice Reiki, and I've been doing that in the healing world among other modalities, which is considered, a spiritual practice of kind. And back to what I had asked earlier, is there is Qigong a spiritual practice per se, or just by circumstance, or even intentionally?
It's a good question. People have different perception about, what is spiritual or not. So, yes, my answer, Qigong is a spiritual practice, but I want to explain what that means. So what that means is, in this case, Qigong, as I mentioned, is about expanding your perception beyond physical, beyond even personal, really opening your heart, opening your mind to connecting with the subtle energy, is really expanding to a spiritual dimension of the existence of life, beyond what is tangible, beyond what we identified as physical only. So that, in that sense, yes, Qigong is spiritual. Then on the other hand, Qigong is about bringing the spiritual energy, invisible energy, to the physical realm, to the existence of who we are, including the physical dimension, including benefiting our health, everyday life, everyday function of life, is including your energy levels. So in that sense, it's also practical. So in that sense, it's really integrative. It's not about differentiating, in order to be spiritual, you have to dismiss the physical. spiritual, you have to dismiss, your individual existence. So that's kind of approach, energetic approach, really about awakening to your wholeness, awakening to your deeper connection with life beyond just physical, beyond just personal. So that by doing that, you're awakening the greater, potential as who you are as a human being. And especially at this time right now, we're facing not only so many problems, but the radical problem, complex problems. And I feel we're ready for more radical solution. And this is a new solution is really awakening the deeper potential within you, that potential you're born with as a baby. Yeah. But over the time, we're suppressing this gift. We're suppressing this connection. We're suppressing that creative energy. And we're suppressing this joyful connection with yourself, with life in general. And so now we need to go back to, in a sense, the original source of life, original blueprint of who we are, and the original natural instinct we have, how to live life fully. And that's what Qigong is about. So the ancient saying is the secret to immortality is same to secret to longevity is to be a childlike again. Keep your energy open, keep your heart open, keep your creativity open in spite of challenges, in spite of stressful stories happening right now. So that's it.
It's so ironic. Thank you. That's so beautiful. It's ironic that a 5,000-year-old practice is considered revolutionary and new simply because people, it is like back to basics. I get messages myself and work on my own work with clients and all of that. And right now I'm getting a lot of information around, having a beginner mind,
Yeah.
a beginner mind about life, a beginner mind, which does bring us to the point that you're saying about childlike. It's like we're learning, come back to be open to learning new ways of thinking and being. So I really thank you for that, that illumination. How is wisdom healing Qigong different from other forms of energy medicine and other healing practices like Reiki, Tai Chi, yoga, and meditation?
Right. I think for anyone new to Qigong, I just want to make an analogy, parallel, it's real, is really, yoga come out of India, Qigong come out of China. These two basically is parallel. And the Reiki, I think most popular Reiki here is come out of Japan. And also some, lineage of Reiki traced back to historical events happening in China, in Tibet as well. So these are different stories, And but in general, wisdom healing Qigong is a system of Qigong that means has its own cosmology, simply recognizing everything is as one. All existence of life is expression of one energy we call Qi, the source energy, the intelligent, creative, life-nourishing, unconditionally loving energy. So that is the cosmology. Then the methodology is really about awakening to this oneness, connecting to this oneness, cultivating the oneness within you. And by doing that, then every part of your body returning to normal function. All aspects of yourself, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, awakening to optimum function, realizing the full potential as I mentioned. So that's the methodology. Then the method is to combine different movement, combine the sound practice to 5 organ, combine the meditation, awakening, opening your mind capacity, awakening to the nature of the mind, pure consciousness. So these different methods, combination of different methods, allow you to tap into, on one hand, is the power of the energy, the function of energy, but on the other hand, tap into the very essence of energy as who we are. This is timeless essence who we are. So that is the method combination. So in that sense, it's a complete system. It's not just different routines, to make you feel better for time being. Yes, Anytime when you do practice, you naturally feel better. But in order to make a deeper change, deeper transformation, it requires consistent practice over time. Then you see the change in the deeper level, change the baseline of your health start to change. Baseline of function of life start to change. So it's a really different methodology about just fixing the problem for temporary time. And that is what the conventional medicine, even a lot of integrated medicine, is more focused on that kind of solution. Still managing the symptom, still addressing the crisis, still addressing the immediate causes. So this Qigong go deeper, further. What is underlying of your health, underlying of your existence, underlying of your life function? And that's how Qigong works, yeah.
Beautiful. And so for folks who are viewing or listening right now, can you give any tips, any techniques or something? I know you just talked about it being a whole discipline and going deeper, and here I am asking for something that folks can use in their home right now. But but I do love to provide that. One of the ideas for the show, in fact, is to provide transformational tools for folks. So we're going to ask you something about, something that people can do, but also obviously your resources that might be available for folks to start doing and connect in with your work and the Wellness Center. So let's start with the retreat center that you are in. How can folks get connected with that and learn more and perhaps start doing some research or learning online?
Right. So yeah, as I mentioned, overall the long-lasting benefit requires consistent practice. But on the other hand, is so beautiful. Is Qigong practice so simple? It's so simple. It's so accessible, and everyone can do it. And especially now through the online program, you can do it in convenience of the home. Especially now we have more time and more need to improve our health, improving our energy baseline. So the practice consists in three aspects. One, as I mentioned, movement, sound, and meditation. So even you can do it at home right now. If you're listening, you can just move your shoulder. The shoulder, opening the shoulder, you're releasing the tension. The shoulder carry the most stress. Yeah, that's one area you can move. And then different kind of more complex movement you want to learn through the videos, through the online program available. Then the second area is you should to move more is your hip area. You're rotating your hip. Right now you cannot see me, but you know how to rotate the hip. Just simply rotating the hip, whether you're standing or sitting. And the third area is opening the spine. Opening the spine. You can stretching your spine, undulating your spine, extending your spine. But beyond the physical movement, most importantly, you want to connecting your mind with your body and then discovering the subtle energy opening. So it's a process you can continuously learn. So I think for the time being right now, the most effective resource I can share with you is the online program. I have different options available. There's a lot of free information and free practice video as well. Some paid program, half days and months-long weekly program as well. Online retreat. We're doing online retreat once every 6 weeks. And people can learn very effectively, start practicing, then gradually creating a consistent practice. So at the time ready, then people gather here in Santa Fe. We have a gorgeous retreat center with 50 beds. People practicing together in person and 10 hours a day. And as I mentioned, in China, the program is so intense, 1 month long. Right now, in-person retreat we have is people stay for 1 week. They can extend in 2 weeks, even up to 6 weeks long. So that is a different option people available for everyone. Depends on commitment level, depends on who is ready for whatever degree of commitment.
Yeah, and I'm sure, financial resources and all of that as well. And you're also offering a free training video, how to reduce stress and transform fear at the time of COVID-19, within a free ebook at ancienthealingsecrets.com. I want to make sure that folks who are listening or viewing are able to see that. And as we get to the close of the show, since we're running out of time, is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience about your work or about Wisdom Healing Qigong?
My final message is really invite everybody, think of the possibility, on one hand is true, everything is challenging now. Everything we have experienced in the past, personally, collectively, causing what we're experiencing now, including health crisis. And I often say everything is a cause for our health, our disease. But on the other hand, we are, you and me, we are the cause for healing. We are the cause for deep changes. And that is more than just possible. That is the commitment. That is the dedication we can make, especially in this time. So one practical thing I want to just mention, I think the website ancientsecrets.com maybe is not the right name. And I think it's qicenter.com/ancient secret. That is the place you can receive the free offer Travis mentioned. And I just want to validate that so you don't go to the wrong place to get the wrong info.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I had that in my materials, so I'll make sure and correct that when I send out information for folks.
Let me just...
And what's the name of the healing center?
And Qi Center, CHI Center, CENTR.com, and that's our website. But also I want to get the right information. You can get the proper materials. And Travis, if you can help me out to type in the link to find the right information.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, just it looks like qicenter.com.
qicenter.com, that's our website, but the free information is qicenter.com/ancient secret.
Yeah, definitely. There it is. So thank you. Yeah, and you can go to qicenter.com and find the link right there to get the information and the free ebook and to learn about the online resources, which is so exciting to provide right now. And this is really the time that we have. I don't know that many of us in our lifetimes have had or will have any more of an opportunity to work on ourselves than now. So this is such a perfect opportunity to do that. I thank you so much, Master Mingtong Gu, for joining me, for your incredible wisdom and sharing your insight and your wonderful practices with our audience.
Thank you, Travis, for what you do, for who you are. Thank you for this opportunity to share with all of you. And blessing to everyone who are listening.
Yes, thank you so much. You've been watching or listening to the Divine Insight Show. Have a wonderful week.